Turning attention to recent regional performance for the 1 year ended January 31st, 2021, call it the post-COVID period, REIT returns were negative around the world. And in fact, the global REIT index generated a negative return over this period of about 10 percentage points. Returns in the UK, Japan, and the US were all tightly packed around that negative 10% level. While Singapore and Hong Kong, where lockdown efforts were early and effective at keeping the virus from spreading too much too fast, particularly relative to what happened elsewhere in the world, and therefore generating less of an impact on the economy, were among the best performing markets. Some of the key regional and global themes on vaccine news is a clear positive that will eventually enable the world to exit the clouds of COVID. But the speed, efficiency, and success of the vaccine rollout will be the ultimate determinant of each regional economy, and at the end of the day, that of the global economy. There may be wide variations between regional recoveries as a result. Fiscal policy around the world has been robust. It has supported businesses and consumers and lessened the damage from the pandemic. Hopefully, it will be sufficient to keep the economies from backsliding should we see a resurgence of COVID. Monetary policy has been equally robust and also well coordinated around the world. It's aimed at maintaining low interest rates, and we expect it will continue to be aimed at doing so. In the last few weeks, interestingly enough, and I think encouragingly, we've seen a normalization of interest rates and inflation expectations. Extraordinarily low interest rates of the last year in many ways were worrisome. The fact that rates and inflation expectations are starting to normalize and beginning to retreat from these emergency levels and migrate slowly back to the still low but more ordinary levels is a positive sign for global economic growth. Similarly, inflation expectations have begun to normalize. Deflation is no longer the primary risk across most regions in the world. And in fact, investors are beginning to ask whether or not fiscal stimulus could be starting to spark a small amount of inflation, which frankly is what it was intended to do. A little bit higher rates, a little bit higher inflation expectations are positive indicators in our view for the economy. Digging down more regionally, in North America, the political environment is returning to normal. Both parties in the US equally share power, and this dynamic will encourage cooperation and consensus while marginalizing the radical policies or change. In Europe, completion of Brexit eliminates a lot of uncertainty and paves the way for a return to normalcy there. In Japan, China, Singapore, and Australia, where COVID has to this point been better contained than it has been in the Americas or Europe, we expect that Asia will be one of the first to lead the global economy out of the post-COVID recession.